Hello everyone, this is EA Sports from Plamo. Hello everyone, this is EA Sports from Plamo Build Report. Thank you very much for watching my first two videos of my build series for the Moon Gundam. If you like what I'm doing so far, please do me a favor. Hit that like, subscribe, and also the bell button so that you will get more updates from me for my progress on the Moon Gundam and many other contents. So before I start the video, I'd like to explain a little bit more of what I'm doing with this Moon Gundam. So currently I'm doing a Moon Gundam build-off with my friend Player One Miggy. My friend Player One Miggy is a Facebook video game streamer and he also does plastic model. Two different type of hobbies that I'm really into, and he's an amazing builder as well. If you like to watch someone play video game with a good personality, go check him out on Facebook at Player One Miggy. Currently he's playing World War Z, where he survives through the zombie apocalypse. Go check him out. Now here are some rules that we have set. First, the model has to be straight built, which means there should be no modification, no plot play application whatsoever. Second, stickers, water slide decals, and also panel lighting is allowed. And finally, the third rule is that painting is allowed as long as it does not derive from its original color scheme and design. However, you cannot put your custom color scheme to it. Our deadline for the build-off is going to be the end of May, which will be May 30th. So already it's already May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Which gives me about less than a month to complete this kit for the build-off. So join me on my journey of completing this kit on my build report. Let's begin. Alright, the first thing to do before you do any seam line removal is finding seam lines. I'm gonna want to explain to you what the definition of a seam line is. Seam line is during the injection molding process of creating the runners, is that there are some portions where the plastic and the plastic meet together. You see a line that kind of intersect with each other. That is called the seam line. So we're gonna look at two different types of seam line through this kit. Alright, so I took the Moon Gundam apart. Let's look at each one of them of those seam lines that I found. Although there aren't that many seam lines to this kit, I did find some minor ones that I could take care of right away. So if you look at it very carefully, you can see that there's a line that's scanning through this part of the leg. So that's one part of the seam line that I should remove. You could also find the similar type of seam line on the hand part as well. The joint part as well that's holding the cycle frame has a long seam line through the part. The second time seam line is not exactly on the part itself, but it's the line that is created when you put two separate parts together. So the example that I'm showing you here is the red torso part that you see in the middle. These two parts was originally a separate part, but if you put it together, it combines just like this. But as you can see in the middle, you can see that there's a line that connects to each other. I'm going to fix that. For the first seam line removal, I'll be using the HGUC Keysake cutter to scrape it off, and then I'll sand the parts to make the surface smoother. If you want to know a little bit more about this tool, I have reviewed this on my one-take review. So if you want to know a little bit more, please check it out. From the second seam line that we found, I'm going to be using Tamiya's extra thin cement. I'll be using the cement to bond the parts together to make it into one whole part. So for the first seam line, I'll be simply using the HGUC cutter and just scrape it off just like so. If you don't have a HGUC cutter, you could also use by using a regular X-Acto or hobby knife. Just take the part and just scrape the line. After that, I'll be using a sandpaper just to smooth the edges of it. Remember to go up to a higher grit for a more smoother surface. Now for this part in particular, you could use a knife to get the seam line off. However, one thing that will happen if you do it is that you'll lose its perpendicularity with the part itself, which results the part to not be straight. So for this one, we'll be only using a sandpaper to just get rid of the seam. Now remember not to sand the part too hard, you'll sand out more than you should. Also remember to sand the part around it so that it will stay in the same roughness. Now let's move on to the second part of the seam line removal, which is applying the cement into this part. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna just open up a little bit. Now from here, all you're going to do is just add the cement in between. Then later on, just squeeze the part until you have some of the residue out. So what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to melt the plastic together. All right, so let's let this dry a little bit. Alright, there's some time that have dried this, and let's take a look. So as you can see, the glues have stuck together into one part. So the next thing I'll be doing is scraping this glue residue off and make it look like it's one part. First, the one thing that I like to start is using a design knife just to scrape off the excess glue. And as you can see, the seam just went right off. I'm very happy with this result. So after this, you'll be doing the same thing as you did before for the first seam. Use a sandpaper and just smooth out the edges. Here you go, you can see there's no seam. This is great. Now let's do it for the other part as well. Alright, now we're done with the seam line removal, and the next thing we'll do is we're going to take these apart and start cleaning out the residue. The reason that you might want to do this is, as you can see for some of the parts, after cleaning the nubs and also flatten out the surface, what you need to do before you start priming is to get rid of the small residue that has been caused by sanding the part. Now, as you can see, for most of these parts, I went down and sand everything from the gates and such. I'll be using a part separator to separate the parts out. And then later on, I'll put them into each of the plastic containers so that I'll know which part is which. Okay, after you finally fix all the seam lines and sanded your parts, we go into the next phase of cleaning. For cleaning, I have prepared 2 bowls of water, 1 dish soap of your choice, and also a toothbrush. Now there are 2 reasons why you should clean your part before you go into priming. The first reason is to wash any oil that was on your hand while you were fixing the seam line or even sanding the part. Unless you're wearing gloves like me, which you shouldn't have any problem. Now the second reason is going to be because you've been sanding and knifing out all the plastic that was in the part, some of them will be still present onto the part. If you take a look at this part very carefully, you can see there's some white plastic spots and also some marks that you see in the part right here. This is due to sanding the part and also getting rid of the glue. And for sanding and cutting the part, all of those you see are from the plastic. So let's go and start cleaning. Okay, we're gonna start first by mixing the liquid dish soap into this white bowl. This bowl will remain just clean water for washing the part. Gently apply just enough not to be too soapy. Then afterwards, take your toothbrush and start mixing the bowl. Alright, the white bowl is all bubbled up. Now all we gotta do is just dump the parts that you have sanded until now. Alright, so after you thoroughly mix the part into the soap water, what you're gonna do is you're gonna just take one part and start brushing each side by side. After that's done, put it into the clean water, rinse it out,
and double check to see if you see anything that you still need to clean. Then afterwards, put it in a drying rack and wait till the next step. So let's clean all this right now.
Okay, we have finally washed everything, every single part that you see right here. Now the next step that we have to do is, of course, drying the parts. Normally what you can do is you could just leave it as it is and let nature take its course to dry it naturally. But one of the problems that can occur is that the part will not dry. You might have any dust that will be on the part while it's drying naturally. But for me, since I don't like waiting for it to dry up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my airbrush to blow all the water out of the part. So after I blow all the water out, I'm going to put the parts on the angler clips. Whew. Man, that's a lot of parts to dry out. For the next video, we're finally going to go to the priming process. So, my name is EA Spuds from Plamo Build Report, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.